Hello, everybody, and welcome into another week of Tuesday Night Thunder, live tonight from the high banks of Michigan International Speedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You are watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Normally, our co-host Dawson would, of course, be up here in the booth with us, but he is down racing on track here tonight, so we'll have a chance to watch him, but it will just be me up here tonight. But again, thank you all so much for tuning in. Qualifying is complete, and got a pretty stout field. A lot of drivers excited, and a lot of them not really sure what to expect here tonight, and neither am I, to be honest, because this is the first time that we know of in money racing history, at least since I've been broadcasting, that we have seen a series of this size go to a technically non-super speedway oval for a money race. All right, let's get things kicked off with your pole sitter, Garrett Maines. One of the Coke Series drivers puts down an absolute heater with a 39.711. To his outside, it's going to be the number 7 car of Malik Ray, who will start second. Andrew Navarro back in third. Dylan Jones rounds out row 2 and fourth. It's Joe Herta back in fifth for the Jack Shack. There's Dawson Wise, our normal co-host. He will start sixth here tonight. John Ward for Hyper Motorsports back in seventh with Jared Haynes in eighth. Landon Velicky in ninth. And rounding out your top 10 is Mark Math. Brock Westermelin will start 11th here tonight. And the number 4 car, Jeff Merck for NBG Motorsports, to his outside in 12th. Moving on back to row number 7, it's Ken McCullough Jr. alongside Devin Ray. Nicholas Warner starts back in 15th with Michael Triscaro in 16th. Joshua McCullough 17th with Mitch Regatas in 18th. Matthew Baker, another one of the NBG drivers, in 19th. And Matt Lee for Nightmare Esports rounding out your top 20. Trevor Osborne, Richard Elliott make up row number 11. It's going to be Mike Davenport and Chris Walker back in row 12. Christopher McCullough starts 25th. Christopher Carter in 26th. Then you've got Larry McDonald 27th. Mark Von Dale back in 28th. Jimmy Emos 29th. Jimmy Emos rounding out the field in 29th. Taking a look at your race info here before we get things started. It is race 6 of the season, making our one and only stop at Michigan this season, and look at the big difference there. 2-mile D-shaped oval, high banking in the corners, but it will not be flat out. We are in the Xfinity cars. The distance here tonight going to be 75 laps at 80% fuel, 3 sets of tires in the pits, and they do have a fast repair here tonight just in case things get a little messy. Fixed setups as always, and there will be a stage break at the end of lap 25. Starting track temp, 115 degrees, 81 degrees outside, 45% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 2 miles an hour. All right, well, we talked about all the unknowns, and we talk about that pretty much every week, but here tonight, it is really a new challenge for drivers, and the question is going to be, who can tame the Irish Hills of Michigan? Here we go into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is in the air, maybe not. Are we going to get a delayed green here? Looks like we very well may, as caution's still out. And yes, we will. So we're going to go ahead and delay it. We'll do a second lap around as things are going to get reorganized. Not sure what the exact issue was that caused the delay, but nonetheless, people trying to sort some things out further back. Nonetheless, though, Garrett Maines and Malik Ray, 2 Coke Series drivers starting on the front row. I think, realistically, they got to be some of the favorites here tonight. Andrew Navarro, one of the Contender Series drivers, you see him starting in row 2. He's going to be another strong option for potential pick here tonight to win this race. But then there's a lot of underdogs that really like this track. Had a chance to practice with a few of them last night, and one of them is one of our driver cams that we'll show in just a little bit. But for now, we'll just talk about it, and that is the 89 machine for the Jack Shack, Trevor Osbornoth. Saw him practicing some qualifying laps last night, put down a few heaters, and the point is this 89, he's got a lot of speed. Question is, can he keep that car clean and get it up front when it matters late in this race and try to make something happen? Stage 1, pretty short. Only 25 laps. They're going to go by really, really quick here at Michigan, so you got to be digging pretty much right out of the gate. Tire's going to be another big issue here tonight. We don't normally talk about that, but you are going to have to save some tire if you want to have speed in the long run. So we'll see who charges to the front early and who stays back, takes it easy, and make sure that they have something for the end. All right, lights are off this time on the pace car, so we will officially be going green as long as there is no more obstacles on the track that would cause a delay. Sure enough, pace car is going to now make the left turn down to the pits. It will go. Here we go, rolling up into the Geico restart zone for the first time in series history. RMR's Tuesday Night Thunder takes the green flag. We're underway at Michigan. as they race off of turn 2. It's going to be the 7 of Malik Ray who will quickly try to draw out to a lead over the 1 of Garrett Maines. Garrett now fighting back. He'll get a side draft down to back straightaway off into 3, and already trouble. That did not take long. Caution is out for trouble further back in the field here. And it looks like the 67 of Jimmy Emos a little bit slow. Not sure if that's where the issue was or not. As I look back here at Nicholas Warner, ooh, that car's got some damage, so clearly an issue there. And then for Brock Westmoreland, being scored a lap down, although that car seems undamaged. So the 21 of Nicholas Warner is indeed the only driver right now, at least, that we have data on potentially being the cause of this caution, obviously, and maybe being the only driver involved in this incident. Let's back it up and take a look. Again, did not even get a lap complete. A lot of drivers expected this. That's why qualifying was extra important here tonight, because you didn't really know what to expect on the start. And boy, this starts all the way in turn 1. I mean, this is a mess here for Nicholas Warner in the 21. We're going to watch this first from the cockpit view. As again, watch as they get into the corner here. Let's see. Oh, he might have got a little help out back. Gets sideways here. He's in the grass. He's trying to save it, Wobbles up the track, gets loose again, tries to save it again, and then eventually gets clobbered in the back off of turn 2 as he was trying to get it out of the way. Unfortunately, just couldn't quite do it. And now let's watch this again here, but from the chopper view, and see if there was indeed contact. It was the 5 of Matthew Baker who was running behind him when they got down into turn number 1, and I would assume that's where contact would have been from as well. Watch the 5, yep. Oh, just slight contact there. And Baker actually cut him a little break getting into the corner. Baker tries to go a line higher here. And as the 5 kind of goes to reaccelerate, the 21 just a little bit, just briefly has to correct. And as that car just slightly gets up the track, that's when the contact is made. And then now for Nicholas Warner here, he's just trying to make the save. And he tried a couple different times here, and everybody's trying to kind of predict where this 21 car is going to go. Larry McDonald hits him. That sends him back up. And then right here, Joshua McCullough tries to make the evasive maneuver down low. Nowhere to go. And that's a big hit for the 21. That almost turned that car upside down. See, it rips the hood off of Joshua McCullough's car. And that 21 Chevrolet is destroyed for Nicholas Warner. Give you another view of this here from TV3, show you just how big of a hit this was. In fact, I take that back. We'll go to TV2 first. As Larry McDonald, I said made contact. Larry may have just briefly missed him here. Watch it close. Does he get away from this? I think he does. If any contact, it had to be just slight, but I think Larry McDonald is probably okay. Fortunately, though, Joshua McCullough, not so lucky. Look at that, man. All 4 tires off the ground before that car makes another heavy lick with the outside safer barrier. Then eventually comes to a halt. And so he gets back rolling pretty quickly, but damage is done, so he's going to have to take his fast repair before we even make it a full green flag lap here at Michigan. As we go back up front now, Garrett Maines, Malik Ray still being scored on the front row. They just flipped positions as Malik is now being scored as your leader. Garrett's second. Same deal for row 2 as Jones is now up to 3rd, Navarro back to 4th. Then you've got Dawson Wise up to 5th, Joe Herta in 6th, Jeff Merck 7th, John Ward 8th, Landon Veliky in 9th, and Mark Math rounding out your top 10. Well, again, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. Something a little different here tonight with Tuesday Night Thunder making a stop at Irish Hills, Michigan. Again, only race of the season at this track. I know when we go to Talladega and Daytona, we go to those tracks multiple times throughout the season, but so far here tonight, trouble early, and, you know, cold tires here. In general, I think qualifying is maybe the best practice for how loose you could expect the car to be, but at the same time, once you get rolling for the actual race start, all that dirty air that's getting turned up in the wake of all these cars through turn 1 and 2, it makes it tricky for the drivers further back. And so you just got to kind of tiptoe it around, be extra careful until the tires get up to temp and there's a little bit more grip. As we now look on the roll bar view here of Dawson Wise, the driver out of Knoxville, Tennessee, who again is used to being up here with us in the booth, but tonight he is down on the racetrack, the number 9 Monster Energy Chevy Camaro. And he's looking to see if he can get a cash spot. I know this was something he had been looking forward to all season. So you know we're going to be keeping an eye on him here tonight, as he felt like one of the drivers that would have a pretty good shot, although he didn't feel great pre-race about the grip when he got a couple practice laps in. And I got to think that that's kind of a common theme. So I don't think Dawson's going to be the only driver struggling with it. But Joe Herta, another driver who kind of, I don't want to say the rumors, but the talk before was he was going to be a threat for this race. And we're going to wait to see what he can do, as nobody's really had a chance to put anything together. And I think if you're one of the drivers that put a lot of practice in, you're hoping we see a long green flag run. Because if you save tires, you're going to have a good car at the end of one of these runs. But here we go. Pace car pulls off, and we will roll now back into the Geico restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 5 laps now complete at Michigan. And it's a great jump for the 7 of Malik Ray. He will get well clear and jump up to that top groove to lead him all down into turn number 1. We're going to try to keep an eye a little bit further back this time, as that's where the trouble had stemmed from last time around. Looks like so far so good. Couple cars getting a little bit loose. Michael Triscaro is going to fade as now he drops into the middle. Matthew Baker's going to go high as the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr. goes low. Down the back stretch, single file for the first 4. Then it's 2x2 right now with the 9 of Dawson Wise looking to the inside here of Joe Herta. You see Dawson trying to clip that double yellow line. Ooh, he got loose. He got loose, had to catch it. Does that give the momentum back to the one up top? Yes, it does. Jeff Merck's going to go high as well. The top will roll. Dawson Wise trying to maintain. Merck deciding which lane he wants to go with back up front. The battle for the lead is a 3-way battle between Malik Ray, Garrett Maines, and Andrew Navarro as Dylan Jones sits back and forth. And he's just watching to see if any of these 3 make a mistake. And right now, the big question is how aggressive will they race? Garrett Maines doing a little bit of pushing down the backstretch. And now he's going to look to the outside off into turn 3. Malik Ray going to try to defend as he'll now dive to the inside. Does Garrett look for a bit of a crossover here? Big momentum on the bottom, but Malik checks up enough to keep the run behind. And I'm surprised to see these guys going at it this much this early, as Garrett looks to make another move here. Malik tried to block. Garrett gets there. He'll take a side draft on the front stretch. And that's going to get him just about what he needs to dive it off into 1, trying to get clear here. Malik Ray not going to try to squeeze him, at least not yet. He'll look for a bit of a crossover as they work off of turn 2. And again, you wanted to see the best of the best. Well, this is what you're going to get. 2 of the Coke Series drivers out here tonight with Malik Ray and Garrett Maines. And, I mean, we see these guys run this track. I don't know about in this car, obviously, as they run the Cup Series. But now look at this. 3 wide for the lead. We'll hold that thought as Andrew Navarro is going to take a peek up top. Neither the 1 or the 7 saw that coming, as now the 44's got momentum, but he's got nowhere to take it. So he'll stay tucked up behind Garrett Maines. Malik Ray is now going to have to fall all the way back to 3rd. As we go further back, you wonder if all this battling allows anyone to catch. Dylan Jones has not been able to get up there as of yet. Matthew Baker sits back in 5th. He is the biggest mover right now, as he is up 14 positions from where he started this race at, and he now sits inside the top 5. And Joe Herta for the Jack Shack falls just outside the top 5 as he goes back to 6th. Dawson Wise in 7th. Jeff Merck 8th. Landon Velicki in 9th. And Matt Lee currently rounding out your top 10. Now, I know we're still seeing a little bit of 2x2 right now. In fact, here's Jeff Merck and Dawson Wise going at it, but this should start to single file out here, especially as the run continues on. And then once we get to a point where the tires wear out enough, maybe we start to see a couple more grooves come into play. You know, the general idea here of Michigan is that you can pretty much take the car anywhere, whether you want to, hook the bottom of the racetrack, move to the middle, or go all the way to the top. But depending on the way you drive the car and the way the tires wear, we're going to see drivers move around this racetrack as the run goes on. Some might try to stay low, take the shorter way around. Others might try to go to the top as those tires start to wear out, carry a little bit more momentum. We'll have to see what happens, though, as the 94 of Christopher McCullough has got some draft from his teammate Ken McCullough Jr., who runs just behind. There's the 92 of John Ward on the outside. They're going to go 3 wide here just briefly, but looks like Christopher McCullough will get clear. He'll jump back down in front of his teammate as they draft down the front stretch. And Michael Triscaro, who sits back in 14th. He's up 2 positions from where he started this race at. Mark Math back in 15th. And driver who loves racing at the tracks that aren't super speedways. We know how good he's going to be here tonight. We'll see what he can do. Trevor Osronoff back in 16th, saving a little tire with his teammate Devin Ray, who sits in 17th. Chris Walker, another one of the Jack Shack drivers. He sits in 18th here tonight. And Mike Davenport 19th with Brock Westmoreland currently rounding out the top 20. And then going on back to the field, Jimmy Emos currently sitting in that last position as he runs 29th. And doesn't look like he's in any near danger, at least, of going a lap down, as all the leaders, if you will, are still about only half a track ahead. But how about Andrew Navarro going to the point here with 11 of 75 laps complete? Garrett Maines still runs at second, Malik Ray in third, but you almost wonder, was Navarro just kind of playing the patience game, sitting third and letting these guys use their stuff up? It's going to be interesting to see as now Malik Ray is trying to hold on to that last podium spot. And guess who else is now kind of drove back up into the mix? It's Dylan Jones, who saved a little bit of tire while these top 3 were trying to drive away. And it looks like 3 out of the 4 are still all running that double yellow line on the bottom. I say double yellow here, it's technically a single yellow line, which means that there's no track limits. You can dive below that white line on the front stretch apron, although I don't know if we'll necessarily see any drivers use it. But as for Dylan Jones here, again, I think he's the man that's maybe in the best tire position right now with what he saved off the restart. We'll see, though, how it pans out for him as he is struggling to get that car to kind of hook up and really drive off the turn. You see the back end wiggling around for him. And, you know, this is fixed setup, so everybody's in the same boat, so the only thing you can really do is try to manage your tires differently. But you got to remember, with the way this track works, it's not like Daytona and Talladega where the draft just keeps everybody even the entire race. It certainly helps with the long straightaways here down the front and down the back, of course, but at the same time, when you get into the turns, at least at a track here like Michigan, that draft no longer becomes your friend. That becomes dirty air that can really affect the handling and the front downforce of that car that is in the wake. So in this case, for Garrett Maines, he's trying to search around, and he's in a little bit of a better position than, say, Malik Ray is, because Navarro can only run one line. So if you're Garrett, you got a couple options, whereas if you're Malik, Navarro and Garrett, if they run separate lines, now Malik's either going to have to ride behind him or try to find a line of his own. And once you get kind of 3 different lanes of racing, that fourth car, in this case Dylan Jones, not much he's going to be able to do, but the bottom still seems to be favored as now Garrett's going to move back down there through 3 and 4. Just 13 of 75 laps complete. The top 4 have been kind of the class of the field so far, but Matthew Baker, he's not done yet. He's just over a second behind, and he is still working his way forward as we'll hop on board here and take a lap around Michigan International Speedway with the driver for NBG Motorsports. And, oh, man, Baker is already big time loose. And he has pushed those tires just about to their limit already, at least the rear tires. And that's going to start hurting him here pretty quickly. So for Matthew Baker, I want to see how long he can manage this, as he does have a bit of a lead. And, oh, caution's out. Trouble further back. We got a spinner. And it's the 23 of Chris Walker for the Jack Shack. Devin Ray, his teammate, with some trouble as well, as the 2 has also gone around. This is your second caution of the night, and not quite going to take us to the end of stage 2, but it will set us up with somewhere around a 5-lap to go restart. So as Devin Ray, Chris Walker get back rolling. Let's see what happened here to bring out this second caution of the night, as they're working their way off turn 2. And boy, this started to become quite the cluster, as it looked like there was one car up top that may have been a little bit off the pace. And watch here as they're catching, is that the 89 of Trevor Oswanoff? I believe it is. You got to think that maybe he just had some sort of an issue here. Yeah, that is indeed Trevor Oswanoff. Let's back this up and watch the cockpit view for Trevor, and then we'll switch back to the chopper view to see how the contact ensued after that. So they get down into the corner, and Trevor just overshoots that cushion a little bit, and once he gets into the outside wall, see just how loose he gets, and then it's where things kind of start to cluster up after the fact, as Devin Ray ultimately goes for a spin. But what actually sent him for the spin here is going to be the contact, as they get 4 wide briefly, which there's room for that here at Michigan if everybody's ready for it. But in a case like this where maybe you're not expecting to be going 3 wide, that's where you can run into issues. And watch this here. Michael Triscaro is going to go to the inside. Devin Ray goes to do the same. Chris Walker starts to work back up. And Triscaro, I don't know if he just gets a little bit loose when he's trying to turn down to get below the 89, or if he just gets a little too far down. In fact, we might actually hop on board here with Triscaro as well. Watch the hands here. Let's see. Does he get loose? It's kind of tough to say. Definitely moving the wheel around a little bit. Right there, yeah. He gets just a little bit of a wiggle. It was not much. The problem was it was just enough, though, with how close they were running, that it gets his car down into Devin Ray. And once it does here, that hits the 2 down into the 23. Around they go. You see the flaps deploy. Keeps that 2 car on the ground. And then for Chris Walker here, he's going to go for a pretty innocent slide himself, as he'll come to a halt before they get to that inside safer barrier. He loops it around. Gets back going without any further contact. Give you a couple more angles of it here. This is from TV3. As that is kind of a rare occurrence here at Michigan. I mean, the good news is kind of here, same thing that we see at Talladega, but, you know, a little different is that the entirety of the backstretch is all asphalt. And so when you get spun around, you have a little bit of a better chance to save it. And also you can see that there's quite a bit of runoff room as well. That's what saved them there. But either way, they're going to lose all their track position. That might be a set of tires gone maybe a little bit sooner than you wanted to have to take them here. 16 of 75 laps complete. And in fact, I'm quite curious now as to who decided to pit there under that caution. Drivers who want stage points, I think they do. And yeah, it looks like we kind of had a bit of a split call on it. This is what it looked like coming into the pits. As let's see the drivers that go in here. Navarro and Maines, they fake it. Matthew Baker says, no thank you, I'm going in for some fresh tires. So as he dives down to the pits, you see John Ward follows, as do a couple of others further back. So we kind of got a split strategy going on. So these leaders up front are going to be trying to hold on for the next probably 8 laps or so as the drivers on fresh tires try to get their way back to the front. And the first one on fresh tires, I believe, might be John Ward. Matthew Baker, the first driver that we saw go in to grab those tires, is going to be back in 18th. So a lot of work cut out for anybody on fresh tires, but still potentially enough time to do it depending on how useful these tires are. That's what we're getting ready to find out. So when they get the green flag here, looks like it will officially be an 8-lap sprint to the end of stage 1. Andrew Navarro, boy, how good did he look once he took the lead, got that clean air, and I don't think he wanted to relinquish it, but unfortunately with the caution here, he's going to have to fight for it again. But his Toyota Supra is looking very good out in front so far in this race here tonight. And for Dylan Jones, Malik Ray, and Garrett Maines, is there any more tire saving now, or is it time to dial up the knob just a little bit here and maybe try to pick up the pace? They ran pretty aggressive off the start, it seemed like. Raced around for a little bit, but then once Navarro took the lead, we didn't see much more passing after that for the top 4. But now, with only 8 to go on the stage, I think maybe you're done saving tire, and it's a fight for track position from here. So we'll see what they decide to do. Further back, everybody gets lined back up 2 by 2. Chris Walker has caught the back of the field, as has Devin Ray. Pace car will make the left turn back into the pits. Again, it'll be an 8-lap sprint to the finish for stage 1. Who is going to grab the first stage win in Michigan? We're getting ready to find out. Green flag is back in the air, and it's a good restart for the 44 of Andrew Navarro. He'll get clear to the top. We'll see if he decides to move up. Yes, he does. He'll pull Garrett Maines with a little bit of a draft down into turn 1, as now he'll go back to the inside. Malik Ray, boy, moving around a lot in that car, trying to get some grip, but at the same time trying to keep Garrett Maines from getting a run. Now they're going to side draft for second as Navarro tries to pull away. Still 2 by 2 out back between Malik and Garrett. Down the back straightaway. Who's going to get the advantage off into 3? Malik Ray's going to dive it in deep. Hope it sticks, and it will. The 7 of Malik Ray is going to take that spot, as now he'll check up on the bottom to prevent the crossover. And he's not done yet. Another big run for the 7. Now he's to the back of the 44. He'll look low. Navarro not able to block. Malik Ray to the inside. Watch out, because here comes the 1 of Garrett Maines. Maines not going to be able to find any room to work there. He'll stay behind these 2 down into turn number 1. Further back, still a lot of 2 by 2 action now as the 1 of Joe Herta runs on the inside of Matt Lee. Dawson Wise looking to the outside of Jeff Merck. And here comes Christopher McCullough and Landon Velicki in the 94 and the 62. That is back in the battle for 5th. We've got a battle also even further back for 17th between Michael Triscaro, Chris Carter, and Brock Westmoreland. Back up front, all eyes still on these top 3. Now top 4 is who? Big slide right there out of Malik, working up the racetrack. And now here comes Dylan Jones. It's going to be officially 6 laps to go here in the stage. And Malik Ray wants to grab himself some stage points. Now remember, the 7 is not racing for points or the championship, but he is out here tonight racing for those individual payouts. And with almost a 30-car field, they're going to be pretty good payouts at that here tonight. Man, a lot of cars that almost tagged the outside wall right there, coming off at 2. And Matthew Baker talked about one of those cars on fresh tires. He is already back up to 7th after starting 18th. I mean, he is flying through the field right now. And at what cost? Because he is really using up these good years in a hurry. But, oh, Garrett's going to get turned around on the front. One in the grass. It's Malik Ray. Does Garrett save it? Yes, he does. It was Malik who actually got turned down into the grass. What a save, and he still holds on to 2nd in the process. Oh, my goodness, Malik Ray. Watch this. Big moment for the 7 is, does he slide up? No, Navarro tries to line up Garrett for a push, and when he hits him, it just turns that car down the track, gets him into Malik. Malik goes through the grass, and somehow he's able to save it, come back up, and doesn't lose a position in the process. What a save from Malik Ray, but Matthew Baker continues his drive to the front. He's now moved up to 4th, and he wants more of the 5 car. He's got to pick up 3 more positions, and he's going to have just 4 laps to do it. Baker content to push Navarro here down the straightaway this time as they stay 2 by 2 in a streamline up front for 1st and 2nd. Garrett Maines has looked really, really good so far here tonight. You wonder if that little bit of right front damage that Malik Ray sustained from that contact, would it affect him? I don't think it will. Wasn't a hard hit at all, as now Navarro's going to have to defend the bottom. Baker's going to go by up top. The 44 will jump back in line just behind. So now you've got a Mustang, 2 Chevys, and a Toyota up here leading the pack at Michigan as they're going to fan out 3 wide again through turn 3 and 4. And Matthew Baker looking for the side draft on Malik here. Can he get it? Yes, he can. The 5 of Matthew Baker is now looking for second as they work down the front stretch. It is now 3 laps to go here on the stage. And if you're Matthew Baker, I mean, you got to be feeling like Superman right now with the amount of grip he has in comparison. And you better believe everybody's going to be taking notes at how much better new tires are versus old tires as Baker gives a little shot right there to Garrett Maines through 1 and 2. And not enough to get him clear. They'll stay side by side, though, down the backstretch into turn 3. We'll see if Baker dives it in to get clear. Garrett's going to try to pinch the 5 down, looking for a side draft. Not doing. We'll see if Garrett can look for any sort of a crossover here off of turn 4. And I would almost think that now that Matthew Baker's got that clean air with the fresher tires, he should set sail here for these last 2 laps in the stage. And the real battle is going to be the battle for second. Again, there's no payout on the line for the stage itself, but there is points, which if you're a driver like Matthew Baker, Garrett Maines, Andrew Navarro, Dylan Jones, who are running the series for points and to make the playoffs, it's a pretty big deal, but without any help here, doesn't look like anybody's going to be catching that 5 here. So 24 of 25 laps complete here in stage 1, as it looks like just about the rest of the field is pretty much single filed out. No real side-by-side action besides what's going on at the front. Matthew Baker now has that lead up to about half a second, as this time when they cross the line, it'll be the white flag in stage number 1 here at Michigan. Malik Ray is going to get back around Dylan Jones. Looks like Navarro is going to follow that group again. And the 7 of Malik Ray here, can he set up for one more pass on Garrett? And up front, Matthew Baker still with a half a second lead. He just needs to not make a mistake here. In fact, you know he's going to have to go in and take another set of tires. So I think in Baker's case, there's no real point in trying to save tire, and he's not going to have to worry about that here through 3 and 4. But what a strategy call for the 5. I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. I think they figured it'd be more important to save the tires for later on. But Matthew Baker wanted stage points, made the call, fell back to 18th. And in just 8 laps, he jumps well over 10 positions. Jumps 18, in fact, to make it to the front. And he will take stage 1 at Michigan.
All right, man. Caution is out. Caution is out.
Caution is out for the stage as Garrett brings home 2nd. Malik Ray finishes 3rd. Dylan Jones 4th. And Andrew Navarro rounds out your top 5 for stage 1. Matt Lee back in 6th. Jeff Merck in 7th. It's going to be Joe Herta 8th. Christopher McCullough 9th. And John Ward rounding out your top 10. All right, so as they'll all get grouped back up here, they'll line up with the pace car and then come down for a pit stop where I would expect everybody to go in to take 4 tires filled up with fuel and then get set up here for what is going to be a 50, probably more like a 45-lap sprint to the finish. And I say sprint, but that's a long run. In fact, that's an entire fuel run. We'll talk more about that and see if we can't get a word with your Stage 1 winner when we come back. Stick with us at Michigan.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by 3.
Almost no trouble around
Down goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. To the finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway with race 6 of season 5 for Tuesday Night Thunder. Well, the stage is complete. Let's see if we get a quick word here with your stage 1 winner. Hey, Matthew Baker, this is Austin up in the booth. Got a copy?
Got a copy.
Well, man, you looked really, really fast there on the fresh tires. And, I mean, when you fell back to 18th, I figured you'd get closer to the front, but I didn't think it'd be that quick and by that much. How did you feel about the strategy call, and how did you kind of make that decision to go in for the new tires when you knew it was going to be just 8 laps to go?
Yeah, I just know that beating Garrett and Malik, Dylan, Andrew in a straight up fight is just not going to happen. So I went for the stage points. It was $25 to the stage, so hey, I'll take it. And I know Garrett's going to go 3 here. They're gonna take advantage of me being on old tires, but you know we only have one more pit stop left, so it's a net gain for track position. It's a net gain on points for sure. Got ahead of Garrett there, got a lap led, so really happy with the way we performed here, and just gonna try and get a clean finish at the end here.
Yeah, good strategy call. Get you a good finishing position with that stage 1 win. All right, well, thanks for talking to us, Baker. We'll let you go and see if we're talking to you on the podium at the end of this race.
Thanks, brother.
There you go. And hey, you know what? He kept the mindset honest, and I think a lot of drivers are probably in the same boat and maybe wishing they did the same thing. He said, I don't feel like I'm going to beat the 2 Coke Series drivers straight up. So he said, I'm going to go and play a little strategy, and that's what you got to do. Get points where you can. And for the 5, this race kind of already counts as a bit of a win. Now, I know he still wants money, of course, but in terms of the point standings, yeah, that's a big help there with that stage win, the lap led, and now track position here for the start of the final stage. Well, Matthew Baker on the older tires here. We'll see just how quickly the one of Garrett Maines takes advantage. Sean Ward lines up on the inside. Row 2, again, Garrett Maines and Christopher Carter. Dylan Jones, Matt Lee in row 3. Back into the restart zone we go. 30 laps complete. Green flag is back in the air at Michigan.
Green flag.
Good restart for the 5 of Matthew Baker. He is going to get clear of both the 92 and the 1 as they work off towards turn number 1. They're going to all start to fan it out now. Garrett Maines, let's see just how quickly these new tires go by. Nothing doing yet. And there he goes like a rocket ship. Oh, stacking up out back. Can everybody hold on to this one here? Big trouble is the 25 of Christopher Carter. Slow. He's got damage in the rear. They're all trying to dodge him. And so far they do. The 34 Michael Truscaro, he's got to run. He's going to try to stay on the outside. Looks like Chris Walker trying to shoot the gap in the middle as well. That was a really, really close moment. That could have been a whole lot worse, but it looks like everybody's okay so far, as they're still slipping and sliding through 3 and 4, at least further back here. Everybody trying to find that grip to really get locked in, and it takes a couple laps for these tires to get up to pressure and up to temp. So now as Matthew Baker has already fallen back to 4th in just the span of 1 lap, Garrett Maines, who took the lead, is now contending with Dylan Jones and Malik Ray, who sit 2nd and 3rd. And this is where you got to really start to dial in now in terms of how you want to manage these tires. I know there's a chance that we could get a caution at any point, but you don't want to necessarily rely on that. You know what they say about assuming. And so if you're, I'd say Garrett, Malik, or Dylan here, and believe me when I tell you they know a lot more than I do at a track like this, I would think the general idea is you're all out in front by a big lead. Everybody maybe in that group tries to save some tires so that when it's go time, they don't have to worry about anybody else trying to catch them from out back. Biggest race, though, right now is the race for 5th, which is being led by Andrew Navarro, who I think is really trying to save some tire right now. He runs currently just in front of the 94 of Christopher McCullough. John Ward is there as well. Jeff Merck, boy, big tight on the outside. Joe Herta made a move to the inside, almost got himself knocked to the inside of the racetrack and turned towards the inside wall. So he'll now shuffle in behind Dawson Wise. And Jeff Merck, who falls back to 10th, is now alongside Trevor Osranoff. By the way, I know we mentioned Trevor briefly earlier, but he is one of our drivers carrying an onboard camera for us. So we'll take a look at him again here as we appreciate Trevor for, I think he's probably got the longest streak in all the series we do of a driver that carries an onboard. And it's always such a fun onboard view to look at because of the different perspectives that he gets. And I mean, for Trevor right now, he runs in the middle portions of this pack, but he is going to the front slowly but surely, as he's now up 10 positions from where he started, and he sits just one spot outside of the top 10. Again, Again, him and the Jack Shack, they did a lot of practice last night here to try to get these cars dialed in for this track. It's paying off pretty well, but man, he is in a mess of cars right now as they are still 2 and 3 wide, trying to get this thing sorted out here. You got to be careful here because you almost would have to believe at some point something's going to give with the way these guys are racing. But for now, Trevor Oswanoff continues to run in that 11th spot. Matthew Baker trying to hold on to whatever track position he can, but you can see just how much those old tires are affecting him as Matt Lee shoots around the outside. Dawson Wise trying to do the same, but he's going to have to look for a crossover here and maybe go to the inside. Trevor Oswanoff going to stay in tow for now. Dawson Wise will not make the move yet, at least not into turn number 3. And so as we start to shift our attention back further towards the front, I do want to mention we went back green with about 45 laps to go, maybe make it 46. And the fuel window, from what we understand, is 80% fuel, so drivers can make it about 32 laps. And so that could get you all the way to right about lap 62, maybe give or take, depending on how much you're saving or how hard you're running. And at that point, of course, it's a one-stop, but it does introduce some strategy in terms of, do you take 4 tires? Do you take 2 tires? I certainly don't think you can take no tires unless you try to risk it, and I mean, it may not be a bad call. Try to stay out as long as you can, and even if you do have to make that pit stop, if you feel like you're towards the back, I would honestly consider maybe not taking the tires. Hope for a late caution where you can go in and get that set of 4 and have much fresher tires and do exactly what Matthew Baker did coming to that stage break. At least that'd be my best guess. Not really sure what else you could try, but Matt Lee still trying to go to the front as well in the 04. That's another driver that we know loves every track, not just super speedways. And I still want to give a kind of a tip of the hat to everybody that showed up in the field here tonight. I mean, we had great attendance for what I think a lot of people expected this race to have in terms of it not technically being, a Talladega or a Daytona. But a lot of drivers were excited to see what they could do and how they could perform on a track like Michigan. And so far, I mean, things have been pretty good. We've had 2 cautions to start and then a little bit of trouble since then. But, I mean, what more can you ask for? We've seen 2x2. We've seen single file as, man, Christopher McCullough splitting the needle right there. McCullough Motorsports, they're looking to make some noise here tonight as Chris came so close to having a shot at a win just a couple weeks ago. Unfortunately made what he felt like was a mistake and a move that he made that cost him and his teammate Joshua McCullough at Talladega. And so now tonight, he's seeing what he can do. And by the way, this is a track that I should mention where maybe the first time you're not thinking about your teammates, and I couldn't tell you how long for these drivers, as you can't necessarily work together here, at least not the same way you would at a regular super speedway. So I think this is more or less, oh man, Christopher McCullough, big loose right there as Matt Lee's going to slide in front. But this is not a track where you really would work together unless you happen to maybe be kind of the same speed as your teammate and you're both trying to get around another driver. Maybe you push him down one of these straights, but I think that's kind of about it. Otherwise, it's every man for himself. And when we look at the payouts here tonight, it kind of tells you why. Again, the payouts were based off of, I believe, 30 entries, which we just about had. In fact, the exact number that we did have here tonight, entry-wise, was 29. And so the payouts based off of that was $142 to first, $103 to second, $97 to third, $85 to fourth, $80 to fifth, and $63 to sixth, with $120 going to that championship pot. I do want to also briefly mention the schedule, which again is going to talk about the next few races and then what to expect in general for pretty much the rest of the season for Tuesday Night Thunder Season 5. Again, we made our stop here at Michigan tonight. This is the only time this season that we will be at this racetrack. Next up, it'll be back to the World Center of Racing, Daytona International Speedway, and then we'll head back to Talladega a couple times before we return to Daytona on October 8th. Talladega again before we kick off the playoffs, which will be at Talladega. That starts October 29th. Then we head back to Daytona a few times and then Talladega a couple more times. So I think the big takeaway from that schedule is that any of the kind of, maybe slightly more skill-based tracks, if you even will, I don't know if Atlanta fully counts, but Michigan certainly does, they're going to be wrapped up here after tonight. So if you're a driver that really feels like tonight's your last chance to get a good points night without the potential chaos that we see at normal super speedways, go out there and make it happen. I mean, we've still got 36 laps to go in this race. There's still time for drivers to make up positions. And for Andrew Navarro in the 44, It's almost like the Jaws music starts playing here because he has started to creep back up on these leaders. And as far back as he was at the start of this run, I was almost wondering if he was saving some tire. That very well could have been the case here, as he is just about caught back up to Dylan Jones. He sits about half a second behind. So we'll see if he gets there. Garrett Maines, though, does continue to lead. Malik Ray in second, Dylan Jones in third. And then we talked about Navarro, who's up to fourth. Joe Herta for the Jack Shack still running in the top 5. Matt Lee, he's up 14 positions from where he started in 6th. Christopher McCullough, he's up 18 positions from where he started in 7th. And you've got Jeff Merck in 8th, Dawson Wise in 9th, and Chris Walker rounding out your top 10. He's up 14 positions from where he started, which is an impressive comeback after that spin that he had early on in the race between him and his teammate Devin Ray after he was kind of the innocent bystander in that one after he got hit by Devin, who got hit by Michael Triscaro. And then there's Trevor Osborne still sitting in 11th, Landon Velicky 12th, Michael Triscaro 13th, Devin Ray in 14th. And you've got Matthew Baker 15th, Jared Haynes in 16th, Joshua McCullough 17th with John Ward in 18th, Mike Davenport in 19th, and Brock Westmoreland currently rounding out your top 20. 42 of 75 laps now complete, and Malik Ray is now back on the back bumper of Garrett Maines. You wondered if he was just saving a little tire. Does the Sevens think about making a move? I'd almost have to believe that at a certain point, you got to go for that clean air, because when tires get really, really old, it could be crucial to holding on to that lead, but not yet. No pounce yet from Malik Ray or Dylan Jones, as Navarro has now closed that gap up just a little bit more. He's in drafting range, but he's not close enough to where he could try to make a move for himself either at this point. Man, it just amazes me the pace that these guys can put down up front. I mean, it's almost a breakaway from the rest of the field, it seems like. Now, Joe Herta, Matt Lee are the first 2 cars that are more than a second back. So the top 4 you could technically still throw under a blanket, but Andrew Navarro's still got a lot of work to do, and he's trying to catch this 11, get closer. Again, the closer you get, the stronger the effect of that draft, but also the more it hurts you in the corners when it kind of works more as dirty air than it does a draft. And so we're going to be coming to 44 of 75 laps complete this time. Remember that pit stop, not sure when exactly we'll see it. We could see different strategies here if drivers decide to short pit. They could realistically pit right now. The fuel window's open to make it all the way to the finish. But again, you can stretch the fuel you have in the car now all the way to about lap 62 before you need to make a pit stop. All right, we're going to go ahead and take another break, but we'll go side by side and we'll be right back. Stick with us as Garrett Maines, Malik Ray, Dylan Jones run 1, 2, 3 here at Michigan.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
But you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing.
Three by three.
Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Canada.
Welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. Just before we go back to full screen, I want to remind you of where we head next here on PGR eSports. Thursday night, the PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series heads back to Talladega Super Speedway to take on the Xfinity Series with big payouts this week. $350 to first, $250 to second, $200 to third, $180 to fourth, and $130 to fifth. And then, by the way, the other reminder is that tomorrow night, PGR eSports for the first time will be taking on OP Racing to broadcast their Wednesday night Grand National Series, so make sure you check that one out. That race should be a good one. Looking forward to it as their playoffs get kicked off tomorrow. Back up front, 3 wide, but that's not necessarily all the battle for the lead. Malik Ray and Garrett Maines are, but Jeff Merck is getting his lap back after already making his pit stop as, Ken McCullough Jr., another driver who it looked like he already made a pit stop with some trouble here as he's gotten into the wall and pretty significantly. Watch the 3 here. This is going into turn 3, it looks like. Gets down the racetrack. No, he's got the damage at that point, so I'm not really sure exactly what brought this 3 car in. Ooh, contact may have been right here off of 2. No, he's still got that damage, so I'm not exactly sure where he got it from initially, but point is, the pit cycles, they have begun, and we have seen already a few drivers come in. Jeff Merck, Ken McCullough Jr., Jimmy Emos, and now looks like Matthew Baker. He's decided it's time to bring it down for his final stop, which I would assume would be 4 tires and fuel. Michael Triscaro, he will now come down to the pits as well. Mike Davenport. See if anybody else decides to bring it down here. I'm looking. Mark Math, he stayed out. There's Mike Davenport, who we talked about. He did pit. Then you've got Nicholas Warner in the 21 after he was involved in a first lap incident. But Garrett Maines still out on the racetrack as next lap we will be at 25 to go. Here from Irish Hills, Michigan. And for Garrett Maines and Malik Ray and Dylan Jones for that matter, I mean, all 3 of these cars have been really good here so far in this second long run that we've had of the race. Really, I guess really first long run, but second run since the end there of stage 2 or stage 1. But for the 44, Navarro just keeps getting closer and closer, and man, it seems like he's finally just about got there after it seems like he's pretty much spent this entire run trying to track these guys down. But now that he's got there and he's in the draft, he's going to try to stay there until they all make this first pit stop. And then I kind of expect that to be the point of where maybe this 44 tries to dial it up a little bit and see if he can't get around a few of these guys. Man, for Andrew Navarro in general, he showed a lot of speed earlier in the first run of the race where he took the lead and had created a bit of a gap. And then unfortunately we had that caution and raced around a little bit more, but now he wants the lead back as he's going to look to the inside here of Dylan Jones. Saved a lot of tire, and look at this. He will get to the inside as they'll drag race down the backstretch now. Andrew Navarro looking to see if he can get the lead. Will he? Yes, he does. Navarro will go to the point. And now the 7 of Malik Ray, the next target for the 44. The question now is, when do these guys make that final pit stop? Again, how far they can go is all the way to about 13 laps to go. That's when we think is kind of the end of the fuel window if they want to run this thing dry. But if you want to go in any sooner, the fuel window is open to make it to the finish as of now. And we've already seen quite a few drivers make that final pit stop. Big question is, how are they all going to sort out once everybody has officially made that final pit stop? Matthew Baker sits 24th. Jeff Merck 23rd. How about Richard Elliott? Haven't had a chance to talk about him here tonight. Right now, he has not gained or lost any positions from where he started this race at. But he's still got plenty of time left to go here and some drivers that he could potentially pick off. How about the 21st place running car of Mitch Regatas in the blue, yellow, and black? Number 9, Chevy Camaro. He's down 3 from where he started, but still with a solid run going. Christopher Carter, with the damage that he sustained earlier to the rear of that car, is currently hanging around the 20th position, up 6 spots from where he started this race at. But up front is still the intriguing question of, when do the leaders make the pit stop? It is still a 4-way battle for the lead. And whoever pits first here, it's kind of a game of chicken, right? I mean, if you're Malik Ray, do you try to short pit Garrett by 1 lap to get the clean air? I almost think with the way this is going, it's who wants to pit last, and I wouldn't be shocked if they all pit together at this rate. But now that tires have wore out, look at the race, and we're getting up front. Malik Ray is trying to get the lead back here from Garrett through 3 and 4 on the inside. Ooh, he's trying to slide up, just barely clear it. It's enough to slam the door on the 1. But now Garrett's going to cross back to the inside. Andrew Navarro is going to stick with the 1. Big momentum. Is it enough, though, for Garrett to get clear and jump back up before turn 1? No, it's not. Garrett Maines is going to have to stay stuck to the bottom, and at this point, it's getting tougher and tougher for drivers to get those cars to get all the way wrapped around that yellow line. Navarro, though, still able to do it pretty successfully. The problem is Dylan Jones is racing him right now, and not that time he does it. He gives the 44 a big push. That sends Navarro back to the inside, down into turn 3, where he'll look to get clear Malik Ray right here. There's the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr., who is not on the lead lap, just trying to get by on those fresher tires to get one of those laps back. And he should be able to do so here without too much issue. We'll see if he decides to go high or low. But Andrew Navarro is now up to 2nd. And so all that time that it took him to get back to the front must have just been the 44 really taking his time here to save some tire to make sure he had something for when it counted most. Garrett Maines, though, on the high side, you know he's going to fight really hard to try to hold on to this track position. And just about 7 to 8 laps left in the fuel tank for these drivers up here running for the lead. And, ooh, almost some contact. Now they're going to go 3 wide. Navarro, do him and Ken McCullough Jr. almost get together right there. Boy, what a big moment that was. Garrett Maines is going to try to take advantage, but, oh, now the 3 is going to go for a slide. Ken McCullough Jr. goes around and gets into the grass. Can he keep it off the racetrack? Slides back onto the apron. It's going to be borderline if it causes a caution here. He's still at a halt on the apron, and it is. It's going to draw a caution. Ken McCullough Jr. not able to keep that car off the racetrack. Caution is out, and that is going to change the complexity of this race. He was trying to get a lap back, and something did not work out through 3 and 4. And that's what got this car initially turned around here. Let's go back and look at it first from the chopper view. That wasn't what initially brought the caution out either. It was when he spun back onto the racetrack, and it looked like he was trying everything to keep it off, but just couldn't quite do it. So watch this here. As they're getting ready to go into 3, Navarro and Garrett are drag racing, and on the inside, here comes Ken McCullough Jr., who's on much fresher tires. He tries to dive to the inside, and Navarro, I'm trying to figure out if Navarro comes down a little bit more, or if it's just Ken McCullough Jr. starting to slide up a little bit more. And if we back this up again, watch it slow. There's Ken McCullough Jr. He dives below the apron. I think that's a little bit more of Navarro maybe starting to come down. Maybe not. Maybe, I don't know if I want to say he didn't know the 3 was there. I think he's just trying to run as low as he can to try to get clear of Garrett. Either way, there was either slight contact or just slight net code between these two cars. And once that happens, Ken McCullough Jr. gets a little bit loose. Garrett's going to try to cross the 3 over. Ken's still loose, and then as Garrett tries to go back up, Garrett just clips him in the right rear. That's what sends Ken around, and I'm sure that Ken probably not too happy with that as he was trying to recover that car, but in this case, Garrett Maines, I mean, he's racing Navarro. He's trying to go. Well, let's see here. Oh, just ever so slight contact. It almost doesn't even look like he actually hit him here. Back from the nose view. In fact, see if we can go to the right front. Actually, I guess it'd be the left front here for Garrett Maines. Watch how slight of contact this is. If he even hits him here. Man, I don't even know if he hits him. I mean, it's really, really close, but I almost wonder, was there just a brief moment of net code right here? Somewhere in this area. Let's see if we can look at the chase view here for Ken McCullough Jr. And watch, does it look like there's contact here? Boy, it's really, really close. I can't tell anymore besides the view we have there. I mean, there's a good possibility there may have been. And actually, we'll get one more chance to see it here from this view. Let's see if... Watch it really slow, right? I don't think there's contact, but it's so close. Either way, whether it was, again, unfortunately, a slight bit of net code or contact, sends the 3 around. He goes for a spin, spins back the other way. Then when he gets into the grass, car bounces around a little bit. Stays on the ground. And then right here, after he got kind of stuck there, that's what ultimately brought the caution out. What I was curious about was the onboard view here for Ken McCullough Jr. is it looked like he was trying to spin the tires to keep this thing off the track, but it just didn't quite work out that way. As watch the spin again from his onboard view here. Goes around a few times. He's holding the throttle down, trying to keep it on the grass. And then right here, keeping the throttle, locks it up. And he wasn't technically on the racing surface, or at least not all the way, but whatever the case was, it was enough that iRacing felt it needed to draw the caution. And so as he gets back rolling, we go back up front now where Jeff Merck is being scored as your leader currently. See a lot of guys trying to get the wave around. Joe Herta second, Andrew Navarro in third. They've got Malik Ray back in fourth, Garrett Maines in fifth, Dylan Jones sixth, Dawson Wise in seventh, Landon Veliky eighth, with Joshua McCullough ninth, and John Ward rounding out your top 10. And kind of, as one would expect here with this caution being, a late caution, but not necessarily one late enough to where everybody necessarily wants to come in and kind of be on the same strategy. So let's show you what this pit sequence looked like here, who came down, who didn't, because it was pretty split. You see Navarro and the rest of the leaders, they pit. Matthew Baker, Matt Lee, and remember, Baker, he doesn't have any tires left, I don't believe. Actually, yeah, no, because they only had 2 sets. He took one early, and then, yeah, so a lot of drivers here that potentially stayed out with older tires. It's going to be interesting to see how they perform on the guys with newer tires that have been faster all race. I have a feeling things might be getting ready to get messy, but we'll have to see how it all pans out. Again, if you're just tuning in, we certainly appreciate you being here. You're watching race 6 of Season 5 for Tuesday Night Thunder here at Michigan International Speedway, as we are wrapping up our 4th caution of the night, which is going to give us a restart with just 15 laps to go. Navarro's got to feel like he's potentially in the best spot right here, but now he's going to have to do a lot of fending off of the 2 Coke Series veterans, Malik Ray and Garrett Maines, who are going to be looking to see if they can get back to the point. Dylan Jones, can't forget about him. And how about Dawson Wise, Landon Veliky? They now find themselves further up towards the front. And here we go, back into the Geico restart zone. 15 laps to decide the winner here tonight. Green flag is back in the air at Michigan, and it's a great restart from the 60 of Jeff Merck. He quickly gets on the throttle and gets away with enough of a lead to pull Andrew Navarro clear. And Navarro's going to jump to the top of the racetrack. He will waste no time sitting behind the 60 of Merck. And watch the difference here as they go into the corner, but watch out down low. Garrett Maines with a big run, and he is ripping the apron. The 1's going to get clear. The 60 now, he'll jump up, and it's a drag race between him and the 44 off of turn number 2. Down the backstretch, all the help's on the outside. Joe Herta, he is up here sitting in third. Malik Ray is going to now go back to the bottom as Garrett Maines trying to see if he can get enough of a run to jump clear the 44 off of 4. It's close, it's close. Is it enough? Yes, it is. Garrett Maines slams the door, but now Navarro's going to go back to the inside. This is the racing that you get here at Michigan when you get a late yellow and a late restart with guys that have fresh tires. 3 wide further back now. That's Dawson Wise, who was stuck in the middle. Jeff Merck on the bottom continues to drop positions here, as looks like Dawson will lose a spot as well right there to John Ward. And so for Merck here, he just needs to settle in and try to find a spot, but it's tough to do when you kind of lose that momentum initially. And now for Garrett Maines, Navarro, Malik Ray, and Dylan Jones. Even Joe Herta. What a job Joe Herta is doing up here tonight. He's up 1 position total from where he started. That's because he had a great qualifying effort. Oh, Garrett Maines almost gets turned. He saves it. Joe Herta got loose out back as well. Whoa, man, that was a big moment for the 1 car, as that was Navarro that provided the contact, the assistance, if you will. Big time save for Garrett Maines to keep it together. And now Malik Ray draws even. He's on the outside. Does he have enough momentum to get clear here down the straightaway? Joe Herta is going to drop up. Watch for Garrett to side draft the 7 all the way down the backstretch. That's exactly what he'll do as they work off towards turn number 3. Looking out the gearbox view here for Garrett Maines. He can see all the cars just behind him that aren't racing right now, single file, and he knows that if he makes a mistake, he could be in danger of losing 2 to 4 different positions even. But man, Malik Ray and Garrett Maines, you wonder if they go side by side like this for another handful of laps. Do Navarro and Jones get back up there after saving a little tires? Man, Malik and Garrett almost with some contact right there, as it seemed like the 1 was trying to move the 7 just enough up to give himself some wiggle room. The 7 of Malik Ray was trying to pinch him down. And now at this point, there's not a lot of ride in line. This is, I want the clean air, and I'm going to go for it. And Malik Ray is going to cut the nose off of the 1, down through 3 and 4. Garrett in a little bit of dirty air, but those new tires are compensating. He gets a run back. He'll have another chance here down the straightaway. Will he take it? Yes, he does. Garrett Maines goes back to the inside on Malik Ray. And he's looking for all the side draft he can get with just 11 laps to go. And I know it's a long ways away still, but remember, we've got to make it all the way to the white flag before this race will be deemed official. as Joe Herta still sits in third. Navarro's in fourth. Further back, things single filing out for the most part, but towards the middle portions of this field, a little bit of 2x2 action here between two of the NBG teammates, Matthew Baker and Jeff Merck. Just behind him there, that's the 80 of Larry McDonald. And Larry's going to look for a move here to the inside of Jeff Merck into turn 3. We'll see if he can maybe get up there and try to battle Matthew Baker as well. And then you've got Nicholas Warner back in 18th, Michael Triscaro 19th, and Mitch Regattas rounding out the top 20. Mark Matthews sits in 9th. He has now picked up a position from where he started this race at. Dawson Wise still in 8th, John Ward in 7th. And we talked about Landon Veliky a few times so far here tonight, as he currently has himself in a good spot, just a few outside the top 5. And then, by the way, I know we talked about what the payouts were here tonight, but don't forget the positions that they actually pay out are first all the way back to 6th. So if you get 6th or better, you're already making pretty good money here tonight. And unfortunately for John Ward, Dawson Wise, they're just outside of that window. And I don't know if anybody's really got much here for the leaders, but Landon Veliky, he's catching back up with them now. Garrett Maines, Malik Ray, you wonder if all that racing maybe put them in a bad spot, as we have one that's spun here down through the grass. I believe that was Mark Matthew trying to find him as he's gone to the pits, it appears. Christopher McCullough maybe with some trouble as well. Late in the going here. Let's see what happens to Chris. The 94 is slow, but I think he'll get it back going here. Let's see what happened. We had a few different incidents here. This was first what happened to Trevor down on the restart. Just gets hit by Michael Triscaro, which, man, unfortunately that gets Trevor turned around. Another tough break for the Jack Shack, and then this is what happened to Mark Math, as him and Christopher McCullough get together. Both of those cars go spinning through the grass. Mark Math has to go to the pits. Christopher McCullough stays in the grass. And so that incident did not bring out the caution. Up front, though, they are still going at it. I mean, you would think we're at Daytona or Talladega with the racing we're seeing up front. And now here comes the 44 of Andrew Navarro looking 3 wide on the bottom. And they're going to stay 3 wide, not for long, back to 2x2, as Navarro's going to try to push Garrett Maines back to even as they work off into turn 3. And you notice Andrew Navarro, that banner that he's got on the front of that car, the front windshield, if you will, on the sun strip, that says Contender. He is one of the Contender Series drivers, and they run these cars all the time. So he's got a great feel for him. That's why you're seeing the great run that he's got here tonight. Is a little bit of a push there to Garrett, and that almost ended badly as the one got a bit sideways. Malik Ray blinks just a little bit there, but no further issue. 7 laps to go. It'll be 6.5 as they work their way onto the backstretch. Joe Herta, Dylan Jones. Now those two are going to make a little bit of contact off of 2. Joe Herta is going to be able to reclaim that position as they go towards turn number 3. Landon Veliky, he has arrived on scene, and he is looking for more here. What kind of moves can he make? All the drivers with new tires, and now that the race is on, some pleasant surprises near the front. John Ward has now made it back up here. Christopher Carter gets ahead of Dawson Wise in the 9. He'll pick up a spot while Dawson will lose one. 6 laps now to go. Navarro looking to go to the front. On the inside as they get into turn 1. Will he get clear? No, he will not. Not yet. Not enough to slide up in front of the one of Garrett Maines. Malik Ray is going to get another run. And, you know, every time they get side by side like this, whether it's for the lead, whether it's for second, that's when cars get stalled out. So every time they go side by side for the lead, that helps Malik Ray out because he's able to get a pretty big run. And then it's an option for him of whether or not he wants to push, pass, or just kind of sit and watch. But now that Navarro gets clear of the one of Garrett Maines, what can he do? Can Navarro start to maybe create a little bit of a gap here, or can Garrett Maines try to fight back with just 5 laps to go here at Michigan? Garrett has been one of the best cars all night. I mean, equally, just about everybody up here has. So you can't really even pick a favorite the way I thought we were going to coming into this race. But Andrew Navarro definitely seems like he had a little bit more patience so far throughout the night, and it is paying off as he's got himself in great position right now with just 5 to go. Garrett Maines not going away just yet. The 44 is going to cut the nose of the one off yet again. As we go to the onboard now of Garrett, you can see he is really struggling with the rear tires on that car. A lot of throttle play just to keep the rear tires under him here as they work down the front stretch. He's getting a draft. It starts to pull him back up, but it's just not enough right now to get him close enough to really make a move. And for Navarro, if he keeps going low, I was going to say Garrett's going to have to try to start searching around somewhere. Navarro just looking like the better car at the moment. Another big slide out of the one. Navarro may have slipped up just briefly there as well. Malik Ray still hanging in a close 3rd. Dylan Jones 4th. John Ward, though, now up to 5th as Joe Herta falls to 6th. Landon Veliky falls back to 7th. They're going to be coming to 3 laps to go this time. That means just 4 miles away from making this race official. And I can tell you, not just for Navarro, but for these front 3, I would think they're probably wanting it to stay green all the way to the checkered here. Garrett Maines now falls back to almost 2.5 tenths behind. And there we go. Yellow flag is out. And scratch that as caution is out for trouble further back with Nicholas Warner. And not sure what happened, Nicholas, but looks like Larry McDonald may have been involved as well. And Matthew Baker in the 5 potentially. Oh, man, major damage for the 5 here is, oh, man. And he is going to run straight into the 7 of Jared Haynes. And that is going to cause even more damage. And this is going to end the night for the 5 and the 7 as Baker. That car will not even turn now. And so he is kind of a man without eyes, I guess, if you will, with the way that car is moving around. He can't do anything. You see that right front. I mean, it is destroyed. So it's a tough break for Matthew Baker here as he's trying to limp it back to the pits, although I'm not sure if there's much worth in it. So we'll see if he just retires this car momentarily. But let's see what happens here that sparks this incident for Matthew Baker, as it might have started actually in front here with Jared Haynes. As, big slide out of Nicholas Warner. Bam! Oh, that's heavy contact. And Matthew Baker just had nowhere to go right there. That's what led to the loss of the hood. Watch this again here. Nicholas Warner had a similar issue earlier on in the race where he got loose. It looked initially like it was the same problem here, but let's see. Watch the 21 on the bottom of the racetrack. And he doesn't really get as much loose as he just starts going up the track. Jared Haynes is there. And he just slight contact there on the right rear of the 21. Sends him across the nose of the 7, and that's a big hit into the outside wall. And then Larry McDonald, you saw with the slight contact there, that's what sent him through the grass. And then I think the 80, is the 80 okay here? Well, takes a pretty hard left. Does he hit the inside wall? No, he doesn't. So a good save there, at least initially, by Larry McDonald as he got back onto the track without any further incident. And then the second contact there between Matthew Baker and Jared Haynes was the real kicker. We'll show that in just a moment. But watch this again from TV1 as he just slides up, run out of room. Big hit for the 21. And then Matthew Baker tries to split the gap, but just nowhere to go. That destroys the rear toe on the 21. Takes the front end off, the front hood, I should say, of Matthew Baker. And then watch this second incident. This was bizarre here, but I wonder if Baker just didn't have steering as, see, he powers down here as they get into turn 1. Jared Haynes is slow. Jared Haynes goes low. Baker's going to go to the middle. The 7 starts drifting up. Oh, that's just a case of Jared Haynes, actually, I don't think had any steering, and Baker didn't expect it. Baker was going to go to the middle, and then all of a sudden at the last second, the 7 couldn't turn, so he creeped up, and oh, man, that's such a tough break for both of those two, as that's going to end their chances here tonight. Baker already a multi-time winner this season, but he's not going to get another one here tonight. Give you another view of these 2 hits. There's the first big one. And we'll look one more time at the second one here, going off into turn 1. So he was okay here, but again, I think it was Jared Haynes who actually had this steering issue. There's Larry McDonald merging back onto the racetrack. And then watch as Jared Haynes starts to go up. Matthew Baker sees it. Not going to be anything he can do, though. And man, that was a big hit, but it was that one right there for both of those cars that really did all the damage. Then as he works down here, at this point, suspension significantly broken on both of those cars. And for Baker, might have even messed up his wheel. I'm not sure what happened, but he's not even able to turn it at that point. So as we go back live, this will set us up for an overtime finish as Matthew Baker is done for the night. He has got no right front tire rather. And so as the lights go off on the pace car, Garrett Maines Navarro up front, Malik Ray back in 3rd, Dylan Jones in 4th. John Ward in 5th with Joe Herta in 6th. Dawson Wise back in 7th. Actually, it's Veliky in 7th. Dawson Wise in 8th. They've got Joshua McCullough in 9th and Matt Lee rounding out your top 10. All right, well, let's remind you of the overtime rules real quick. Leader has got to take the white flag for this race to be official. If not, we'll rack them up and we will try it yet again. And now, boy, Andrew Navarro, who probably felt like he was in the catbird seat there, starting to create a little bit of breathing room. I don't know what he's feeling now because, again, these tires have all had a chance to kind of cool back down, so while they may not be exactly even in terms of wear, when they cycle out like that and everybody's tires cool down, they're usually a little bit more even for the first couple laps, which is convenient here as our overtime is only going to be 2 laps. So I don't think this thing's over yet for Garrett, Malik, Jones, or really anybody up here in the top 5, even top 10 maybe, as a 2-lap shootout here is the equivalent of a 2-lap shootout at Daytona or Talladega. Really anybody's race, and I think we're getting ready to see a lot of aggression, a lot of blocking, a lot of moves, a lot of pushing and shoving, and we may not be done wrecking just yet. They've got to make it an entire 2 miles under a lot of pressure, a lot of stress, and a whole lot of aggression before this thing will be official. All right, here we go. Pace car makes a left turn, potentially for the final time here tonight. Back into the Geico restart zone. Garrett Maines, Andrew Navarro will refire as the green flag is back in the air. It's a good restart up front, but further back, a lot of checking up as they all try to sort it out. 4 wide as, I think that was Mark Von Dell that had the most of the issues, as Navarro will lead him off into turn 1, though. Malik Ray will file into that 2nd spot. Garrett Maines in 3rd. John Ward looking to the inside of Dylan Jones for 4th. And Ward got loose. Jones may have slipped up a little bit as well. Looks like so far they keep it clean for about the first half of the pack off of turn 2. And we're going to keep the attention up front the rest of the way. Malik Ray getting pushed by Garrett Maines. Now Garrett's going to look back to the inside. They're going to drag race through turns 3 and 4. This is exactly what Andrew Navarro wanted to see. And as the 44 comes off of turn 4, flag in hand, 1 lap to go. White flag in the air as they all wreck out back. They're not going to make it. Caution is out as we had a big one out back. And we will rack them up and try it again. The 2 of Devin Ray is involved. Multiple other drivers. Brock Westmoreland, he's torn up. He's got smoke out the back. This is going to end the night for the 4 car. This is what you kind of get worried about as this race comes to a close here, but let's see what causes this one as we'll first go to the chopper view. So they were getting 2 wide back here. In fact, they were actually 3 wide. There's Trevor in the middle, Brock Westmoreland on the bottom, and Brock's going to try to slide clear here, I have a feeling. Although, let's see. As they're coming off of 4. Oh, no, the trouble's ahead. I take that back. Trouble's ahead starts with Devin Ray, Christopher Carter, and a few others. And let's see if we can go back here and see exactly what started that trouble. As watch it here, it's Larry McDonald. Oh, they're 3 wide up here. Devin Ray in the middle, Larry McDonald on the outside. And is Chris coming down, or is Chris coming up, rather, or is Devin coming down? Maybe a little bit of both here. Yeah, Chris is starting to come up a little bit. Devin starts to come down a little bit. They meet in the middle. Contact sends that 25 up into the 80. Larry McDonald, who gets wedged into the wall. Man, that car got some airtime in of itself. And then as Devin Ray's going to spin down to the inside right here, I think he might have been okay, but look, they kind of all just clog up the track. Doesn't leave anywhere to go. As Osronoff gets spun, he gets hit by Jeff Merck, who also had nowhere to go. And they all just kind of pile it in from there. Give you another look at it here, this time from the pit lane 2 cam. I take that back. We'll go to TV1 and watch this hit again for Larry McDonald, as this was massive contact. Watch the 80 get up in the air. Car almost does a flip in of itself, and then there's the big hit for Devin Ray, Brock Westmoreland, that totals his race car. Second contact there for Larry McDonald. We'll give you one more look at this here from TV2 before we go back up front at full speed. And Trevor Osnoth getting turned around just before he slipped by that. It was close, but unfortunately he just wasn't quite able to miss that one. I think Jared Haynes may have gotten through this one okay. I'm surprised that he's actually back on the track, much less running where he is right now after the contact he sustained in that earlier wreck. Jared Haynes, though, who's in 24th, he does make it through this, I believe. Let's watch the onboard view. Sees the contact here, and he's going to have to make a decision. Makes a decision, and looks like he's able to miss them all. So nice heads-up driving there by Jared Haynes as we go back up front. Andrew Navarro still being scored as your leader, although, again, maybe about 100 feet away from probably securing the victory in this race, but didn't happen that time. So while he does have the lead, that gives Malik Ray and Garrett Maines another shot at him here. Dylan Jones in 4th, John Ward in 5th. And you've got Joe Herda in 6th with Matt Lee 7th, Dawson Wise in 8th, Landon Velicky in 9th, and Joshua McCullough rounding out your top 10. Well, lights are off on the pace car. That means that we are going to be going back green this time. By the way, if you're just tuning in or you've been watching for most of the night, we certainly do appreciate you being here. Hope that you have enjoyed it so far. And I'll tell you what, I've liked what we've seen here tonight. I think this was a cool idea. I certainly enjoyed seeing it. I'd like to see it again. But I hope what doesn't overshadow it here is this ending here where it seems like things are starting to get a little bit messy further back. Hopefully everybody can keep it clean. We can have a good race up front all the way to the finish. But when you start to get cautions, you know that it tends to breed more cautions, as everybody likes to be extra aggressive on these restarts. That was coming out of 4 to take the white flag. Nobody's really lifting unless they have no other choice. And so, if you're up front here, if you're Malik Ray, Andrew Navarro, not sure what happened right there, but is he maybe saving some fuel? I wouldn't think fuel would be a concern here, but I am curious as to what just happened here. Garrett runs into the back of him, but I don't think that's what sent him low. I'm not sure either way. Looks like they've got it figured out by now. And so the pace car going to make the left turn onto the pits, and we will try this again. It'll be overtime attempt number 2. Again, we have got to make it to the white flag for this race to be official. Can Malik Ray, Garrett Maines find a way to beat Andrew Navarro, or can the 44 hold on? Here we go, back into the Geico restart zone. 2 laps to go. Green flag is back in the air at Michigan. It's a great restart for the 44 of Andrew Navarro. He gets away early in the box. And now Garrett Maines is going to try to see if he can pull clear here of Malik Ray off into turn 1. Is he going to be able to do it? No, he's not. Malik Ray is going to hold him honest. Now the 1 gets clear as they start to arc it down into turn number 1. Andrew Navarro with really good distance right now. Will Malik Ray push, or will he try to pass? The 44 out to about a 0.2 of a second lead as they work down the backstretch. And if Garrett Maines can get through 3 and 4 clean here, he may have a shot at him, but if he's got any contention out back from Malik Ray, I don't think he will. And he gets through clean, but Navarro looking very, very steady. Looks clean there. And here we go. Can we make it to the white flag? They're wrecking out back. Can we stay green? No, we can't. We cannot. We don't make it. And yet again, they wreck for close to last place. And so we'll have to head to our 3rd overtime. So we're just going to back this up right away. Take a look at it here. We had 1 in the wall for most of 3 and 4, Larry McDonald. Now let's see what happens here. Did the 80 have a bigger issue getting into the turn here? Oh, well, he gets on the turn in the 8. Oh, my goodness. We had trouble all over the place here. That all starts down the backstretch here as the 60 of Jeff Merck just gets slightly hooked right there by the 4 of Brock Westmoreland. And right there, that slight contact sends him into Mark Vondel. Mark Vondel's trying to save it. He gets on the apron, initially does save it. Larry McDonald gets up into the wall. And then the trouble out back here. Let's see where it starts. Oh, it's going to be the 59 of Mark Vondel coming off the wall as he was trying to still gather that race car and just couldn't quite do it. But watch this from the cockpit view of the 59 as he was trying to hang on, just couldn't do it right here. Saves it initially, but then just getting way up the track, and then he makes contact with the outside wall. He's trying to drive out of it, and as he does, car starts to get a little loose. Jared Haynes had nowhere to go. Either did Michael Triscaro, although Triscaro might have just missed this here. Let's see. The 34, does he sneak by? Yes, he does. Man, that was close. Extremely close for Michael Triscaro. We'll look at that on board in just a moment, but there's the 2 of Devin Ray and the 7 of Jared Haynes as all the cars that were collected in this one, from what it looked like. Trying to see if there was anybody else that had any contact after the fact, although I don't believe there was, as that was the last incident. Go back and show you this incident one more time here, or a few more times, I should say. So as we watch it from the pit lane 2 cam, watch as they slide into frame. Yeah, it looks like it's going to be 3 cars in total that end up spinning and bring out the caution. Watch this from the onboard view of Michael Triscaro as we talked about just how close this was for him. And I don't know how he found a way to miss this, but he did. Watch this for the 34. Oh my goodness. They slid right across his nose, and yet he somehow found a way to not hit anything. So we get one more look at this contact here for the 59 of Mark Vondel. And there goes the 34, Michael Triscaro, with a phenomenal piece of driving to miss it. So as we go back live now, up front, it is still Andrew Navarro. And by the way, this is our 3rd attempt at overtime. So I don't know if we can get another caution, but if we do, then that will make this race official. I'll have to see what happened here. As we go back here, Chris Carter in the chat says, Devin Ray must be your friend because he flat turned me, but that's okay. I've got him Dale Earnhardt style down the road. Bad call by broadcasters. So let's go back and see what Christopher is talking about. Let's see here if we can go back and find this. And so you notice there, a little bit of net code. I guess Chris must not have heard the call when we said Devin did come down a little bit. And maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. And you guys, I guess, can be the judge in the chat, but it certainly looks to me like the 2 starts to come down. He's getting loose as the 25's, just running a normal line. But as part of that line, the car slides up a little bit. I mean, look at his left side tires right here. And watch where his left side tires are when the contact occurs. About a quarter of a lane up. And when you're racing that tight, it doesn't take much. But you know what? It's okay, Chris. Certainly appreciate the opinion. And you know a lot more about these cars than I do. So thanks for tuning in. So it'll be another 2-lap, again, shootout, and it should be our final overtime. I'm not sure if race control turns off the caution for this or not. But I'm going to go ahead and for now assume that it's still a possibility. So if we don't grab the white flag here before the caution comes out, then this race will be official and would end under caution. So hopefully that's not the case. But either way, let's see what happens here as Andrew Navarro, Garrett Maines line up on the front row again, and Garrett has not been able to match the restart for this 44 the last few times. Neither has Malik. We'll see if that changes up right here. All right, so as they work back into the Geico restart zone, Navarro on the bottom, Garrett Maines up top. Green flag is back in the air. 2 laps to go at Michigan. And a good restart for Andrew Navarro yet again. He's able to beat Garrett Maines as now Malik and Garrett start to bang doors out back as they drive down into turn number 1. The big question, can everybody keep it clean for a lap here to make this race official? Ooh, one slide out back. That was Matt Lee. Looks like he's going to be able to hold on. Garrett Maines now trying to get single file, but Malik Ray is trying to get to the inside. He won't be able to do it. Navarro still leads into turn 3 by just under 0.2 of a second. And as they come off of turn 4, looking at the blimp cam to see if everybody can hold on to it further out back. And oh, some trouble. They're trying to save it. Looks like they're all going to hold on, so this race will be official. White flag in the air. 1 lap to go for Andrew Navarro at Michigan. Garrett Maines now starts to get a little bit of a run. Has it down to almost 0.1 of a second. Will the one be close enough to try to make something happen in 3 and 4? Garrett chose a little bit of a higher groove, and he's got to run. Here we go. The one of Garrett Maines. Navarro's going to have to block. Navarro trying to hold off on the inside. Will Garrett Maines make the dive into turn 3, or does he stay high? Garrett Maines is going to try to dive low. Navarro puts the block on. The 44, can he hold on to it? Off of turn 4, yes, he does. Garrett Maines, does he have anything else? No, he doesn't. Andrew Navarro will come through the line as a winner at Michigan. And what a job he did to fend off a charging Garrett Maines at the line. And Andrew Navarro gets the first Tuesday Night Thunder win at Michigan International Speedway. Garrett Maines brings home a 2nd, and Malik Ray finishes in 3rd. Boy, we got to go back and look at that last half a lap there, because I'll tell you what, I did not think after what we saw in the last 2 restarts that Garrett Maines was going to have enough to get back to this 44, but he did, and he almost had enough to get by. Let's watch this. I want to watch this from the onboard view of Garrett Maines as he set it up off of 2 really good, and he did get a run here. He got a run. You could see he's pulling a bit of a draft, and he had a choice here. He could have got down in the corner and sent the 44, but instead he makes a dive, tries to get lower. Can't do it. Chooses to stay off of Andrew Navarro. Very, very respectful move right there. And Navarro's able to hold on as they both slide off of 4. And he comes across the checkered flag first, with Garrett chasing behind. So as we go back live, looks like Andrew Navarro will not burn it down. So we'll go ahead and jump right into results. Andrew Navarro is your race winner here tonight. Garrett Maines in 2nd, with Malik Ray in 3rd, Dylan Jones in 4th. John Ward rounds out your top 5, Joe Herta in 6th, Christopher McCullough 7th, Landon Velicky in 8th, Trevor Oswanoth 9th, and Brock Westmoreland rounding out your top 10. Matt Lee finishes 11th, Joshua McCullough in 12th. Mike Davenport finishes in 13th with Michael Triscaro in 14th. Chris Walker in 15th with Devin Ray in 16th. Mitch Regattas in 17th. Mark Vondell, he finishes back in the 18th position here tonight. And rounding out the top 20 is going to be Richard Elliott and Dawson Wise. Ken McCullough Jr. finishes 21st. Jimmy Emos 22nd. Jared Haynes 23rd. Jeff Merkin 24th with Larry McDonald 25th. Christopher Carter 26th. Matthew Baker in 27th. Nicholas Warner in 28th. And Mark Math rounds out the field tonight. He finishes in 29th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back here at Michigan. All right, welcome back to Michigan International Speedway. Going to start first here tonight with your race winner, Andrew Navarro. Andrew, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy. And we'll go ahead and give Andrew just a moment here, as we are also currently looking for your second and third place finishers, although it doesn't look like we're going to get an interview here with Malik Reyes. I don't believe he is actually in the Discord, and I don't currently see Garrett Maines in there. We'll see if he jumps in here before we finish up interviews here with your race winner. Let's see if he's back. Hey, Andrew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? Not getting anything yet. We'll give him another moment or so here as we wait to see if anybody else is going to hop in the booth of your podium finishers. But, man, overall, again, what a race it was. What a win for Andrew Navarro. But certainly some kinks that need to be worked out. A lot of drivers, their first time here in a money racing scene, and by that, I mean it's their first race at Michigan. A lot of them have been around money racing, but not used to going to this track. But I think we could see it in future seasons. I mean, it brought a challenge on. I think a lot of drivers loved it because it added a technical aspect to things. But at the same time, it can be tricky if you're not quite prepared. And it was certainly chaotic there at the end with all the different wrecks we had. But, I mean, overall, it was a great race to watch. We had some strategy. We had a green flag pit stop. And we also had a few crazy overtime finishes to cap it all off. Well, we're going to try your race winner here one more time. See if we can bring him back up. Hey, Andrew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? Hey, Andrew Navarro, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy? And unfortunately, doesn't look like we're able to get communication with him, so not sure if it's an issue on my end or his side, but nonetheless, looks like with that, we're not going to get any interviews here tonight, unfortunately. Again, I apologize, but Garrett Maines not to be found right now. Neither is Malik Ray. And I have tagged them both, but can't seem to find them. And then Andrew Navarro, we can't seem to actually get a hold of here. So I guess with that, we'll wrap things up. As always, I hope everybody enjoyed here tonight. Thank you all so much for tuning in. That's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. We'll be back next week with more Tuesday Night Thunder. Until then, have a good night.